I don't think he sees the guy right there. Does find the guy planting bombs. Parlays it into his second. 1v3 looking for the clutch, looking for the last two. He's gonna find one. Another one walks in with Ross.
Absolutely a must-make because of the ease
of
them.
What? The rest of his team is slowly collapsing. The Sombra is the last player alive, and Braydex with the clutch.
Ella gonna get the Nair, starting out the Nair train. Boy cannot get out of it. What are we gonna see? The forward air, then down air!
Taking some form of space outside the spawn door, but Dragonblade's gonna look to take it right back with a huge shatter. Oh my god! Another pick! Another pick! Oh, he just keeps going! It's a big bang! Hard point in the hand of the other team. Toxic tried to find one, finds a second. Does he get the 30?
Finishes off with the pistol.
The entire team in front of him, and he's gonna find for the ace, actually.
Push all the corner, and Gingy staying deep instead of going defensive like usual.
Oh my God, King Kong Poppy with a 4-piece.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another Shenandoah University broadcast. My name is Molly Denz and I am joined by Ben Kincaid beside me. Ben, how are you feeling?
I'm absolutely wonderful today. It's going to be a great game for the Shenandoah Overwatch team. We have very little left in their season. In fact, this very well could be their last game. Now, we have reached the point where they're now in the NACE Star League playoffs. They've made it to the top 17 teams within the country, but they have to face off against that 17th seed in order to move further on in this bracket.
Yeah, and it is against GMU, right?
Correct.
Very, very strong team. Shenandoah looking good as well, but it's going to be interesting to see kind of what comes out from both teams, because we've seen Shenandoah run consistently Sigma, Ramatra, and Junker Queen, right? Yeah. But Arissa's really good right now. I'd be excited to see Arissa come out, because as you know, Ben, I am very, very good. Well, not good. I love playing Arissa.
Spear!
Right? Yeah. Spear! Exactly. So if we could see a couple spears today, Ben, I think that would be really cool.
It would be really cool if we can go ahead and see that. But I think that a lot of this does come down to is this is a big game for a lot of the players here, the whole team. Over half of them are seniors, right? I mean, Brad is a grad student. This is his 5th season on the roster, and he's coming in. He's been this leader for so long, and you're wanting to make that top 16. 5 out of the past 6 seasons that our Overwatch team has competed, they've made it to that point. Brad has been a major part of that. Voidex for the majority of that time. And I mean, you also have Sacred End as well, stepping in from player, going to coach, and now back on the team as that player, leading them in the hit scan department. He's another one of those graduating seniors. And finally, King Kong Poppy, the flex support turned main support, adjusting for the team this season from the Baptiste and the Kiriko, now on the Lucio, a very difficult character to learn, yet he's done so well and has become a great leader for this team to look up to, and especially give players like Ben and Cherry that veteran experience and give them the chance to participate in a match like this.
Yeah, we have very seasoned players on this roster, right? We talked about Voidex, right? We talked about Sacred End, King Kong Poppy as well. But Ben is a very, very strong tank player and a very strong player indeed. We see him there getting a nice close-up there towards the camera there. But yeah, it's going to be kind of what we'd hope to see is like communication, clear team play throughout this series, right? We know GMU is a very strong opponent, but I mean, teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Teamwork does make the dream work, and that's where this team has been all season. They've gone from this roster that has come up since basically 3 years ago. That's part of the reason why they were so successful. Is you just had the same team for so long, yet coming into this semester, only about half of the team ended up staying the same. So you had to implement these new pieces, start to get them fitting into the puzzle, and find the best way to make them operate, which has come with its growing pains of its own. And not to mention you're playing in the NACE Super League against some of the best in the country. So with all of those things combined, they've put in the work, they've put in the effort. There is no doubt about that today. And especially with the way that this meta is kind of devolving, with the characters we're going to see. We'll touch on that a little bit more later. Because I think what's most important now is our map number 1, the comfort pick for pretty much any team you're going to find here in Collegiate.
Yeah, and Ben, we see here Lijiang Tower, right? Tried and true for pretty much every team here in the Overwatch scene. That is just a very strong control map for a lot of teams, right? And something that we often see on this map, we see this kind of Rhine TP play from Shenandoah. I don't expect that to come out, but maybe possibly being some of the players' last time playing together, they might try to run it just to have some fun opening up this map number 1 here. But yeah, I'd expect this one to be pretty close because Shenandoah is pretty good on these control maps. GMU also very strong, but this is kind of where SU tends to shine here on control.
You're 100% right, Molly. And I think the big thing to point out is this is our TP, this is our brawl, this is the things where we take out the big hammer, we smash people into the ground. It's a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
The teleporter, though, the Symmetra, that's going to be the key to today's match. And interesting about Symmetra, well, she's been so long considered this cheese ball hero. Like, if you play, you're kind of cringe. I mean, I'm one of that. It's not fun to play against, but they know that. That's why the Hornets are choosing to have the Symmetra. You have the teleporter and the turrets getting health increase lately, so it's a lot harder to destroy them. You have more of this unpredictable mobility, the surprise factor, which Shenandoah have used to their success for years even. They're going to lean into that today. They want to go back to good old faithful. What's gotten them here to this spot today, it's going to help them move on forwards. So I do want to talk about the opponent, though. So they have played GMU. They've played them before in seasons past, as well as recently at the Game Mason tournaments, and they did end up losing. That we do have to point that out. But we're a new team. We've come back better. We've come back stronger. That was way back in the tail end of fall semester as well.
Yeah, it'll be good to see what this new squad can do, right? Because they did fall to GMU earlier. I can't remember the scoreline of that map, but I think it was close. I can't exactly remember precisely how close it was, but with this new squad coming up, right, with Cherry and Sacred End stepping back into the shoes of these players, right, of this team, it's just a completely different vibe around the squad, right? They're here to have fun, and that sometimes is the most dangerous team to really play against. When you're not here when you have nothing to lose, that's when you start winning.
Exactly. Even when we were seeing them on the cameras, we were checking out. I mean, we got to see Cherry's cat. I mean, that's awesome. I love cats.
I know.
And what better way to start a stream with a positive attitude? If a cat doesn't make you smile, I'm sorry that you are sad. A cat should make everybody happy.
Where is it? Yeah,
you do have a cat. Look at that.
Hello Kitty.
Even better. So if you need a cat, there you go.
Boom,
you have it.
cat.
And I mean, Ben, too, being that tank for the team, you're the spearhead, quite literally in the sense of the Orisa. A lot of these scenarios, and that's the guy you want to have in the game. You want to have on the same page, and you want to have the team move at the pace that Ben does. Ben, historically, is known for going in super duper fast for either a massive fight win for the team, or they lose it immediately because he suddenly topples over for no apparent reason. And it's a very difficult pace to go ahead and match, and a lot of what the team has been working on throughout the season is balancing how fast can we play with Ben and how to actually like push the opponents back versus how much space are we going to give the DPS to let them shine. And they've moved back and forth, kind of this push and pull battle. Control, that's where the pace is going to be set. How the series is going to open up, it's going to be set based on the tempo of Lijiang Tower. Yeah,
and one thing about Ben, right, is that he's coin flippy, right? If he's on, and it works almost 100% of the time. But sometimes he does have that overextension that you do see. Sometimes Vortex will get a little overzealous as well, trying to pick up these backline kills that sometimes don't work out. But when all 5 members of this team are clicking, they are an insane squad to watch move through these team fights because they're so decisive and so selective on who they're going for, and everyone is on the same call, right? And that's something that we love to see from this squad, right? Because when they're following that same call, it's almost always resulting in a kill and a team fight win.
That's also another benefit of the Symmetra teleporter, is you're literally forced to go in the same direction all together at the same time. So this forced decision-making, the forced direction that you have to take has been greatly to their benefits. And Shenandoah, they're going to roll out to it. Voidex, yes, he was complaining about playing the Symmetra, but he's so dang good at it. And he's going to be the reason that Shenandoah come away with a map such as Lijiang Tower. They're getting ready to roll on out. Close to an apparent here. The difference is a Genji on the side of GMU. Ibinx, though, is known for his Genji, and only the Genji. Occasionally they, but the Genji is the thing. So an unconventional pick, yes, but it's actually going to work to Shenandoah's favor here. Genji does not agree with Symmetra turrets. In fact, you get microwaved by them. Far, far away. That's where the Genjis want to be. You can already notice how low Hitman is on the Orisa. Ben has been able to seal down this space with the Symmetra teleported to move up, and there's one to the back line. Yuck is burned down. The Hornets are going to start getting their first capture.
Spear landing on Lucio there as well, really pushing back the aggression that George Mason is trying to get going here. Ben will find Thickman as well. The Orisa will win. Kiriko so low as well. We'll be able to get out of there, but a good opening team fight victory there for Shenandoah. Yuck going down early in that exchange is really what sealed the deal in that early team fight.
And Shenandoah, they were patient about it. What we talked about at the beginning, what we were worried about was Ben getting over-aggressive, sometimes Voidex as well, but that wasn't the case. They played their choke. They played patient, realizing that GMU have to instead walk into them, which is the exact same situation they're in now. You have an ultimate advantage, Terra Surge on the verge. Ben bringing a couple players in, forces every single cooldown, even an ultimate, out of George Mason, and it comes at the cost of their Sojourn player. Shenandoah, Cherry, you have the opportunity to come back in, Kitsune Rush of your own, yet there really isn't too much of a need to use it. Ben going down, though, that's going to validate it. Ultimate's committed left, right, and center. The later sound barrier from Shenandoah is the thing that's going to keep them alive, push them over the top, and allow them to maintain control at this point. The Dragon Blade going out! Ibinks, that's massive for the Hornets.
Yeah, Voidex picking up 3 there on the tail end of that fight. It did look bad early on there. We saw Ben going down early, but King Kong Poppy popping that beat, able to keep these backline members alive, allowing Ben to re-enter the fight later on. And another very collective and strong win there for Shenandoah in that team fight. GMU unable to really find these backline targets. We see Overclock is ready for Sacred, and that is going to be huge in this upcoming fight. Yuck did just get theirs as well, so 2 ultimates to 2. It is really going to be who finds this backline, Sacred End or Yuck. Overclock already popped, but Sacred End will fall.
Sacred End got focused down there. GMU weren't going to give him the chance at all to try to succeed, and with no Sojourn really counteracts Yuck. Its fight is going exactly how you would expect it to go. Shenandoah, they're going to hold on to it, get it to about 1 fight territory, and they're going to be okay with the reset to come on back.
Yeah, 93% on that first hold is huge here on the first point here for Control. It's not bad losing that fight, right?
No.
Sure, you lose 2 of your ultimate abilities here. Thickman still has a Terra Surge up and available for this Orisa, but with 93% and only the 17 and ticking on the side of George Mason, I'm pretty happy with this outcome. Losing that fight, losing those ultimates, not that big of a deal, because you're going to be able to bring those up really fast, really quickly here, and at least have 3-4 more touches on at this point.
And honestly, this is a fight George Mason should be winning if you're looking straight off the board on resources. The Ultimate's Pulse Bomb, that's going to get a whole lot of nothing. Thickman going in, though. Terra Surge, yeah, you're just going to go right into it. That was intentional from Sacred End, avoiding any extra ult charge going through. So George Mason, that's 2 ultimates down, and Shenandoah just got to farm some of their own.
Yeah, team kill coming through for GMU there, but Thickman, like you said, using that Terra Surge, only the Kitsune will be up and available for Bean Stealer. She has to find a good avenue to really use that. Try to keep people alive and really just force the agenda onto SU, but Kitsune available for Cherry as well, along with his Terra Surge, beat up in about 2 seconds here. 3 ultimates to 2. This could be a huge opening for SU.
Support ultimates are going to be the name of this fight. Usually you want that sound barrier second, but the amount of pressure on the Voidex forced King Kong Poppy to play his hand first. George Mason now, they're on the reaction, yet Shenandoah's resources, they're dwindling. They're struggling to keep Ben and Sacred End alive at the same time. They need to make the quick work of this, particularly Yuck. Overclock is popped. Know how dangerous that they are with his ultimate. That's 2 players down just at George Mason's hand. Ibinks is still on the field, running amok. And with GMU coming away with that fight, it's impossible for Shenandoah to grab a full regroup, and they're going to try to stagger on at this point.
Yeah, Yuck able to find those huge kills there on that backline. That Overclock coming up huge. 97% now. A touch needs to come through from SU. King Kong Poppy will get there in time. Booped off of the point there. Ibinks getting very low. The contest coming through now, but 3 members are already down. George Mason looking strong.
George Mason looking to clean out this point, and I want to put this into perspective. 93 to 99. This came down to 1 particular fight, and it wasn't the last one. It was one in the middle where we saw that Overclock and the Photon Barrier committed by Shenandoah, where it was just Yuck's Overclock. And from that point on, because Yuck was able to live a lot longer and continue more of this poke, the ultimate economy got quite out of balance and shifted over into GMU's favor. So Shenandoah were stuck fighting in that uphill battle for the remainder of that map. That sound barrier getting forced out early by Thickman. I mean, that is the thing that genuinely won George Mason the map. And it's not by a bad decision on King Kong Poppy. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. Shenandoah, they just weren't prepared for the sheer aggression that George Mason were fronting. Yeah,
that last fight getting burned so early, forcing out that beat from King Kong Poppy, like you said, did really hurt them in that final exchange to try to retake that point. But at the beginning, looking very, very strong for SU, hoping to keep that going here on this P2 here for Shenandoah, trying to get this poke damage, trying to find these backline angles, Sacred End, trying to find Ibinks on this Tracer, but Tracer being so slippery as she is, it's just hard to find that angle.
What's also tough here is Shenandoah weren't able to get onto the objective. Ideally, when you're playing the Symmetra, you want to set up on this point, but they didn't go for the window TP. They're opting for the surprise teleporter into the back. Ends up being a fake Ben marching towards the backline. So a lot of George Mason is zoned out, hopefully removing some resources from Thickman. The cooldowns are key. George Mason are able to play on the outside of the map. They hold all their abilities up once again. They need to burn the Orisa down now. If Thickman ends up living here, Shenandoah, they are in a heap of trouble. That's going to be Ibix harassing in the backline. They overstayed his welcome, allowing King Kong Poppy and Sacred End to begin their cleanup, a fight that Shenandoah played incredibly well.
Yeah, Ibix getting picked off there in that back side of that fight, right? Trying to get this poke damage, try to get access to this backline of Shenandoah, but that turn, the flick, able to get that King Kong Poppy, securing the kill in that instance, but that is the go button, right? You have a 5v4 in that instance on that site, and then it's really just turn and burn, right? They were able to get so many members of GMU low in that exchange, and wow, that wasn't first touch. They have the first capture on the point here, ticking up from 25% good. Opening fight yet again from SU.
His ultimates are going to be big here. Voidex narrowly sneaking away from a pocket pulse bomb. But it doesn't matter. Shenandoah, they used their support ultimates exactly the way that they should have. Cherry mirroring the ultimate of Bean Stealer. And that's just enough time for Voidex and Sacred End to get in, charge up their abilities, and just clean them up.
Yeah, and now we still have 3 ultimates available on the side of SU here. We have Beat, Overclock, and the Wall from Voidex here. And really, with this ult economy, Thickman now finally getting the Terror Surge online. Beat almost up as well for the Lucio on GMU's side here, but Ibix already falling again on that Echo. A tough loss early on in this contest.
Yeah. And Ibix is a little bit lost right now. You can tell this is the third hero that he's been on throughout this game. His good old Genji ain't the play today, so the Tracer, the Echo, surely one would happen, yet the Hornets have been prepared for any sort of counteraction. Even as this fight starts to go in, George Mason, they're down, they're hurting, they don't have the resources to continue pushing on up. Once again though, later Soundberry and later Overclock. George Mason prepared to push on up, yet Voidex has been waiting for this moment his entire life. Photon Barrier splitting the point in half. There's no chance for George Mason's resources to get value. That was the fight that they've been waiting to take all match. It's set, it's gone. Now you have to fight it in the neutral against Sim Turrets with 4 seconds to contest the objective. You're forcing all of Thickman's cooldowns just to even set a toe onto the point. Yet that stall time is enough. Yep, and Ibix wrapped their way around the side of the objective, forcing out both the DPS players, buying George Mason a small enough window to keep their hopes alive on Night Market.
Yeah, Voidex and Sacred End, they're getting picked off in the early stages of that fight, meaning that GMU is able to recapture possession of this point. This is the first capture, the first hold now from George Mason that we will see on this P2. 99% stacked up already on the side of SU here, but when you look at these ults again, Ben around 15% away from this Terror Surge, and Cherry about to have the Kitsune Rush up and available as well. Possibly looking to answer, but a TP now to the other side, trying to get tricky is SU.
Trying to get tricky. Thickman used their Fortify and Javelin Spin just to kind of poke up around Ben, so he's going to have to back up towards the objective. There's not much to work with. George Mason are playing this exactly how they should, waiting for Shenandoah to come to them, forcing Shenandoah to use their own major cooldowns before the fight initiates. And what's that bought them is now this duplicate form you can use on top of the Kitsune Rushes both of these teams currently have at their disposal. Ben ends up backing up as soon as the trail is led, and this is what the Hornets need to be doing, because now you get to hold on to that rush of your own and push it with George Mason, nothing to counter it.
Yeah, Bean Stealer using that ult early. They're trying to get aggressive, but Shenandoah recognizes that, knowing that that ultimate is down. Now decides to move in on their own territory, still up and available. The spear will land onto the Lucio. The support already picked off the board here for SU. Great opening to this fight.
Force the duplicate out of Ibix early over onto the Kiriko. It's going to get little to no value right now. George Mason, they're down, they're hurting. They're going to need the sound barrier to come in key. Yet Misha Rub cannot press the button in time to save their tank. Ben got there first, and it's going to be Shenandoah with the last say on point to Night Market. The cleanup phase is coming down to an end, but the map far from over.
Yeah, a great re-enter and contest there coming through from SU. Recognize that Kitsune from Bean Stealer was used early on, just backing up, waiting it off, knowing that it's only a 50% tick here for GMU, knowing that they have so much time to go re-enter on that fight, and the Kitsune of their own getting used by Cherry. Really, the cherry on top in that fight, right? Able to just keep on rolling. Nothing that GMU could do in that instance.
The problem that we talked about from round number 1 with the ultimate economy, how that kind of got off of whack and there wasn't recovery, they fixed that. Shenandoah identified what the issue was and fixed it. Didn't need a map break, didn't need a timeout. They figured it out in a matter of like 20 seconds. That is insane. This is a team that has been working with each other, to their coach, communicating like, all right, this isn't working well. We need to switch it up. Now, with this third objective, Gardens, very hit or miss, especially when it comes to taking this point. And Yuck goes down so early. I believe that was a javelin across the map from Ben. And I mean, George Mason, they have no choice but to retreat.
Yeah, and watch King Kong Poppy, who he loves to try to search for these little boops if he's able to find them, looking for Kiriko there in that instance, but able to TP out to safety. Good first pick as well there. We saw Yuck getting hit by that jab from Ben there with a DPS off the board early on. That means first access to this point for SU, first capture as well. Now GMU needs to try to find this way back in, but their ult economy is not looking anywhere close to what SU is at right now.
And you're not going to push without items. You need this additional pressure. Shenandoah overall have a more powerful front line strictly because of Voidex existing where he needs to exist and getting this beam charged up. The secondary fires, the difference in ultimate charge. I mean, there's so many things that are going right for the Hornets right now, particularly on a map such as Gardens that is notoriously difficult to retake. And I mean, George, they're on the Cassidy. They've moved over to the Tracer. The DPS, they don't know exactly how to keep approaching. I mean, Recall's already been forced on out. And Shenandoah, they have the ultimates to go ahead and take this fight as free as they want. It doesn't even seem like they're going to need him. Thickman lacks the support. Voidex has gotten full microwave beam mode. Even if he ends up going down, the Hornets clean up perfectly fine without him.
Yeah, Yuck going low as well will finally be cleaned up by Ben on the backside, but another stronghold. 3 ultimates, probably going to be 5 by the next time this contest comes through. 30% left on King Kong Poppy. Ben about to have that Terror Surge up and available, but again on the side of GMU. Ibing switching over to this Mei as well, only 18% now. That Blizzard will not be up and available for this next fight, not even close. So really, SU, this is your fight to lose right now.
Yeah, this is all in the Hornets' hands. The only thing that is concerning, you don't have a sound barrier quite yet, which isn't the end of the world. You're initiating Kitsune rushes. It forces everybody back. George Mason, they're at a 3-2 split, and it's going to force Thickman to make the aggressive move in. And the Maywall isolating Ben from the rest of the team, but little does they know, it's George Mason that is in trouble. They pulled the rest of the team back. The Terror Surges laying chaos around the objective. King Kong Poppy puts the sound barrier down. A last-ditch attempt to pull it on through, but ideally you would have liked to hold on to that ultimate. If you're the Hornets right now, it's looking like a lost fight, yet 99% on the board. You take that any day of the week.
Yeah, and looking at the ult here, Sacred End, saving that overclock for this retake, for this recontest is huge here for SU, right? Because that damage, if they're able to find this backline, Fiend Stealer switching off the Kiriko now over to this BAP for this flex DPS, trying to get a little bit more damage on the side of GMU here. Ibinx is going to have the Blizzard up and available here for this next fight. TP in behind Spear will already land onto the Lucio, but the wall coming in huge for GMU, keeping Ben off of this site.
It forces all of Ben's cooldowns out, and the team can't push up to follow him. The Blizzard is putting them right in between them. Thickman wrapped around the side of the objective. So Shenandoah, they had the wise push. Knowing Ibinx has the Blizzard, you're okay with taking the one ultimate trade.
Yeah, indeed. And again, a good fight there from GMU, having that hold. And like we said, Gardens, a really hard point to recontest and recapture. 99% though, they just need one good fight, one pick on the side of Shenandoah could mean map 1 in their favor, pushing them off now of this site. Good proactive aggression coming through from SU. The lamp already used, huge.
Thickman was behind the team. George Mason just left their entire team out to dry, but in fact it was a bait. Thickman comes in from behind, javelin spins the entirety of Shenandoah towards their own doom, where the Patriots sitting and waiting to just punch them into the ground. Another wonderful fight taken despite Shenandoah's early entry.
Yeah, and we see Lucio on the side of GMU almost having that beat up and available. Terror Surge and Wall getting close as well for the side of SU. Kitsune also around 90% on Cherry here. SU needs to try to find this angle, needs to try to find this fight. 80% and ticking now on the side of GMU, possibly faking the teleport. They're going to go bridge again, but Ben again cut off from the rest of his team.
He's cut off and met with the amplification matrix. Yes, he goes through it, but Voidex shall not his head removed almost instantaneously. Shenandoah, this is the last fight they're going to get. Voidex and Olsen from spawn offer additional support, yet there's no matching sound barrier for King Kong Poppy. George Mason practically invulnerable for the next couple of seconds. Ben needs to come up big here and now, grabbing one out of the Cassidy, now turning his sights over to Ibix. The terror that has been reigning over the Hornets throughout the entirety of this game. The photon barrier not getting its job done. The Hornets were forced back too little, too late, as the Patriots are going to recover in the final portion of Lijiang Tower to come away with a map 1 win.
Yeah, but a close map 1, right? That point could have gone any direction. No one knew where that was going to go, but Ibix on the switch over to this Mei, coming in huge with these walls. Ben just getting separated from his healers, from the rest of his team, meant that there couldn't be any follow-up, right? He was trying to get aggressive and was doing so and was looking very strong in that aspect, but as soon as that Mei wall came out, it was over.
I said it before about round number 1 of Control Center. The map was decided by one fight. Same thing happened here.
Yep.
And it came down to a single sound barrier. King Kong Poppy, he popped it out thinking that it was winnable. And in some realities, yes, that is a situation that you want to pull it out. But being down 2 of your players against a 5 stack of a team that has more ultimates to chuck in your direction was a very risky decision. And not to say that that is the single reason they lost, because it is not. Thickman's positioning on this Orisa, like who as a tank player sits behind your opponents letting the rest of your team get stomped on? I mean, that's such a strange move. It's glorious. I love it, but it's so strange. I mean, nobody on Shenandoah should have expected that to come out at the start of this fight. And your players, they get separated. You don't really know what to do. There's this element of confusion, and that's where the Patriots were able to strike and find the weaknesses, despite arguably Shenandoah looking like the better team for the most of this map.
Yeah, and like you said, with Thickman's positioning, right? He just wasn't there, right? You didn't know where the Orisa was. And exactly, that does not happen. Usually you see Orisa in front of all of your backline players, right?
Yeah.
They just weren't, right? And once SU saw that, they were like, okay.
There's no tank. Let's go.
Where are they, right? And the bait came in huge, right? I think Terror Surge was also available in that fight, which came up huge for GMU there. But not a bad look from either side.
No.
All 3 of these points came down to the final fight, the final seconds here, and I'm expecting to see map 2 go a little bit differently.
And important thing too is Shenandoah, they, in my opinion, looked like the better team for they looked like the more consistent team. Not necessarily the better one. They were very even in that regard. But the more consistent team throughout the entirety of that map. It just so happened that the fights that they lost happened to be some of the most important ones in the game, which is really unfortunate and really frustrating as a team. That you know you're doing pretty much everything you need to do correctly, but the tiniest things are catching you off guard. That's what happens when you're playing an opponent that is at the same level as you, is you're going to be pushed less on the major plays that you're making, but more your own mistakes. They're doing the same thing to GMU, getting caught off guard one too many times. They're going to have to look to move ahead to our hybrid map for number 2.
Yeah, map is available. We will be able to see what that one is in just a moment. It's going to be
Surprise,
King's
surprise!
Row. This is one of my favorite maps, right? You already know my soul belongs to New Junk City, right? I love just the nice monotone colors, right? But King's Row kind of has a little bit of the same stuff, just a lot of gray.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray. I mean, at least with brown, there's like shades of brown, but like this is just gray. And the architecture's nicer to look at, which is why I will agree that this is like aesthetically the more pleasing map.
I can get that.
Yeah? You can find that?
I can understand what you're saying.
I mean, King's Row, Scrims Row, whatever the heck you want to call it.
Yeah.
Scrims Row, because it's played all the time, everywhere. I have casted less series with other maps. For the record, there's 7 hybrid maps. I've casted more series with King's Row than I have any other map combined. It's crazy. Teams love it. It's their comfort pick. So the fact that Shenandoah picked it, I think, is interesting. Typically, they will go to Paraiso. They like to flex out on the Sacred End Sojourn, maybe get some Voidex Widow in the mix. This poke comp, it's typically comfortable. But no, they're not going to do that. They are going to fall to the collegiate standard instead, which makes me think that they're still very confident in this TP brawl that they had set up.
Yeah, and I'd expect to see the same kind of comps come out. Right? We're going to see the Symmetra, excuse me. I always get that one mixed up. I don't know why. Symmetra, I don't know what that's from.
Symmetra, kind of got the Tra.
Yeah, the Truss. It's in there. Symmetra.
There you go.
We're going to see that probably again here with this Orisa TP comp, right? Supports staying the same, right? We're going to see the Lucia. We're going to see the Kiriko. And really it's up to what Sacred End wants to run here. If they want to run like a Sojourn Tracer comp that they once played before, but I thought the Symmetra was looking really, pretty good.
It was, and this composition on a surface level, it is two horses running at each other, chucking javelins, and maybe you got
Love it.
Sojourn on a high ground just peppering them down. On a surface level, right? You go zoom, you go in, and then one team dies, right?
Yep.
But in reality, it's this careful balance of push and pull. This micro play is what is going to win and lose you games. Shenandoah love to go in. They are great at it, taking these initial fights. And we even see them retreat in key moments. And a reference back to that Kitsune rush Bean Stealer put out that they just absolutely booked it out of there. That won them the map, genuinely. So Shenandoah, they've learned the balance, the push and pull. This composition, the style part of it, is something they're very comfortable on. The only thing that's thrown it off has been Ibinks on the Mei. Still ringing true here. We need to see how they can work around the isolation.
Yeah, they need to work around this wall, right? Trying to find the avenue where the wall won't have the most effect, or possibly just be able to get around it a lot faster than they were able to in map number 1. Jab coming to the TP up already, trying to get down this Mei yet again, but the cube, the icicle coming through the self-peel from the Mei is something. Ice cube? I can't remember what it's called, but you know what you know what I'm talking about, right? We see the spear coming through, unable to get that early kill, but forced off already. George Mason forced to use that lamp, the wall coming in yet again, but no one really falling. Ben finally going down in the exchange.
And as we're talking about the Mei walls, that's your issue. You lose your tank. Key thing though, Shenandoah got Bean Stealer. And if you're going to get somebody off of George Mason, either be the tank or the main support in the back T. So they're going to get a tick and a half back off. Ben is going to respond so much quicker. So you're going to walk in, have full Orisa cooldowns to work with, and you're going to run it back just like it started. Once again, Mei walls. Ibinks needs to be priority target number 1. As soon as they get caught out, it's a problem. George Mason, wait for the cooldowns to reset, but thankfully this time Ben ends up on top of the wall instead of with his back up against it. Key cooldown out of the way. Shenandoah, they got to heal up and get prepared for a return. And with not having Sacred End though, this needs to be more of a reset.
Yeah, Cherry, we see Thickman getting in the thick of things here. Cherry unable to escape Sacred End, and Vortex falling. Ben again trying to do something, but it's just a reset on the side of SU. They have 2 ticks already, however, 1 tick remaining on this first point for SU to get this push finally going. Stealer, will have the window up and available. Some key ultimates very close to the side of SU on just about 4 members here. And yeah, fight hopefully beginning soon. TP, maybe.
That's what they have, right? You have the Photon Barrier, Kitsune Rush to push in, and against Nat Matrix it works out well. But again, wall, Ben, sticky situation. You see the Blizzard, time to press the S key and book it back. We'll come back in the summertime when it's a good vacation home. But for now, you can re-engage. The Blizzard got absolutely no value. Cherry, speed rush in, Kitsune on top, Sacred Endo losing the duel against Yuck, enough for him to back on off. That's another major cooldown online. Shenandoah are doing their best to play the resource game and in fact win it once again. Beanstalker, most valuable target here, is down. GMU, if they want to recontest, it's going to have to be snappy and likely without Yuck and Thickman. Shenandoah getting that final elimination, essentially sealing their presence here on Objective A as this payload's about to get a move on.
And just like that, summer has arrived. The point getting taken here for SU, able to cap that one off. 3.5 minutes now to get to this next point, right? The payload now unlocked for SU, but 3 ultimates available. Ibinks switching now back over to this Genji, the tried and true. The main is now unlocked here. GMU now putting all their eggs in one basket. If Ibinks can stay alive, that'll be so dangerous on the side of SU. But if SU is able to find that Genji with a spear, with something, that would be game-changing for the squad.
And they've been doing it before. It's very rare that you'll see Ibinks swapping off of the Genji. Terror Surge on either side. Thickman's got to get the heck out of there. And while the tank will, your Lucio shall not. Not having a sound barrier here, that is big. George Mason is 0 chance of re-engaging. All they need to do is, for Shenandoah, have this clean out, stagger it up as long as possible. I mean, the longer that they get these elims from, the more progress this cart is going to gain before there's even an attempt of a Patriots re-engage.
Yeah, and Beansu and Ibinks falling on the backside of that fight, right? That means these respawns are going to be a little bit staggered. That means SU now able to get a lot of push onto this cart now, about halfway, a little over halfway to this first point on the push here. Yuck and the Lucio do have their ultimates up and available. So does Sacred End and Cherry. The Kitsune and the Overclock ready and available. Voiding's getting a little bit low there, able to back up behind the payload, stay alive, and now we see the go button pushed.
It is the go button, yet George Mason, the sound barrier on their side. I mean, that is pretty much a fight winner right there. You have these 3 major ultimates, and it's going to be enough to power you through, even if it was just the beat. And honestly, George Mason overcommitted just enough. It still trades out what Shenandoah managed to do. These teams now reset on even footing when you're looking at these large abilities, that potential to flip fights on their head.
Yeah, Yuck able to get an early kill there with the overclock for GMU, able to really halt any progress that SU was trying to get with that early push there. Sacred and Cherry losing their ultimates, but Ibings now very, very close to the Dragon Blade. Need to keep track of where that one is going to go. If that Dragon Blade is unleashed and just goes on a tear, that will spell disaster for SU. But again, the wall coming through from Voidex trying to get something going.
Shenandoah not in the mood to get sliced and diced today, so they're going to take the initiative. These turrets set up already make Ivan's Dragon Blade much more difficult. You lose out on Voidex. That is much more of an issue. Cherry, no, her swift step gets interrupted midway through. Ben attempting the Terror Surge to keep him out of danger, pulls Ivings back into the turrets. Mish Rubs also fall. A beautiful play. Ben doing his job, protecting the team, then turning into this aggressor, leading the charge. A genius move from the Shenandoah tank.
And you can see, just focusing on this Genji, we saw the Dragon Blade coming out, but it was shut down almost immediately. Ibings was not able to find any backline kills with that ability. You saw Yuck able to pick up Voidex early in the exchange there, and that was really what pushed Ibings over the edge to go for this huge play on this backside, but it backfired, not able to find a single kill. Now Cherry and King Kong Poppy have their ults up and available. Sacred and almost ready with this overclock. The window, Ben pushing past already. The beat coming down.
Beautiful. Shenandoah, their support ultimates out on the Cherry Blossom in Shenandoah. This is their fight to go on through. King Poppy, though, has to go ahead and live. He'll back off, play passive. Let the rest of the team have their time in the spotlight because the Hornets are preparing to round the final corner here of Kings Row. If they can finish with over a minute, great. But George Mason, they're still going to have another touch to come back.
Sacred End still does have the overclock up and available. Cherry and King Kong Poppy will not have their ults available. Ben about 20% away from this Terror Surge could be the difference maker here. Yuck about 9% away from this overclock as well. It could be overclock versus overclock. Sacred End versus Yuck, who will get the first kill, who will find each other in the exchange. Ibing's already getting a little bit low. SU opting to play a little bit slow here, regroup, try to farm up some percentages, and then go on the attack.
Sacred End, there's no sound barrier to cushion the damage he's about to pull out. Very quiet with these overclocks so far. Rare to see from this player. George Mason has been respecting his ability so much. I mean, even now, they're not even daring to peek their heads on out. A wonderful javelin, though, forces him away from that high ground. For Shenandoah, they're now the ones going it down. Yuck's later overclock once again gets the better of the team captain. And they're going to have to pull one final reset as an attempt to complete comes through.
Cherry goes down as well. Yuck finding 2 on the backside of those fights. Terror Surge, however, and the wall will be up and available. About 30% away from ults as well for Cherry and King Kong Poppy. If they can get those online on the latter half of this fight, of this overtime touch, which is looking like it's going to be likely. Now 20%, this late beat could be huge if Lucio on the other side on GMU uses it early and then it comes up for King Kong Poppy. That could mean the difference.
King Kong Poppy is the make or break point now for the Shenandoah Hornets. They need to start this one out right, and that's without getting the Mason Rope down. The best pick you could possibly got, the teleporter play, putting men where nobody thought he would go, and it's all just simple, knocking them over like dominoes from here on out. I'm sure you might be flashy, but not enough to stop the battle cattle. I hear Ben screaming behind me, and he should be. That was absolutely beautiful to watch.
And that's communication right
Woo!
there, folks. That was an unbelievable TP play behind GMU there. Lucio having that beat just blown to smithereens, unable to hit that ultimate ability, and with beat down on the side of GMU, SU, that was a one fight. There was nothing they had to be scared of anymore. Ibings was able to pick up 2 on the backside, but in that Dragon Blade, you don't have a whole lot of peel potential, right? And SU just outplayed them in that final fight.
I'm gonna be totally honest. As somebody who has thousands of hours on this game, 1,000 hours casting this game, that was a fight Shenandoah should not have won. They knew Misha Rush had this ultimate. That sound barrier had the entire power to turn George Mason's fight around, to give them a second life. You teleport onto the back, you go ahead, say, Terror's but I've been gonna smash your pancake now. There's nothing that George Mason could do to come back. I mean, even Ibex had little to no support available, so Shenandoah getting that full completion very well could be setting them up to win map number 2.
Yeah, Thickman now over onto this Ramatra. Yuck trying to find this early pick here, hovering the Widowmaker. 10 seconds left till the push begins, right? We don't think there will be any kind of swap off of this Widow, right? Already up in that upper window, possibly looking to try to just find this early pick onto Sacred, onto somebody. Will recognize it. They will back off in time. Yuck now swapping back over to the Soldier, not able to find that early pick that they were looking for, but Thickman opting to stay onto this Ramatra. What do we think here, right, with the Ramatra?
Typically, you think that Orisa wins out a Ramatra matchup in most scenarios because of the sheer amount of CC that she has. Crowd control. With the Javelin, it shoves you backwards. The Javelin spin, it shoves you backwards. The Fortify, the Orisa's not moving. So George Mason, they want to play more mobile, is the guess. They want to have a little bit more of the speed rotation, maybe assault the backline mentality, which, sure, that can work. Yeah, you need to recognize your front line is significantly less stable than it was before. It's a very much, we're going to win it very fast, or we're going to lose at the tail end of this. Nobody's yet to engage, but you're isolating Ibex. Oh, get the deflect! Ends up killing a Voidex. Shenandoah's own team working against Voidex at the tail end. But it doesn't seem to matter. That's the problem with the Ramatra. Again, you don't have the frontline presence. After you use your cooldowns, you're as good as dead. The Hornets are going to manage to stay alive for now.
I counted 3 spears in a row, right? One onto Ibex, one onto Yuck, and finally onto Thickman there, able to seal the deal. That was a spear diff, right?
It is.
You have a spear, you have CC, and possibly another one going out. Just a pre-fire. They're trying to get an early pick here, but that was a very well-fought fight there from SU. We saw GMU trying to use these high positions, these windows, trying to filter in and out to try to get this poke damage for Thickman, then to go in and really just deal a lot of damage and be in the way of SU. But Ben able to find these jabs, able to find these picks coming up huge for SU.
And all he has to do is pull out the Terror Surge, the boot back in from King Kong Poppy. Significant blow dealt to Ibex, and the turrets will go ahead and take care of the remainder of his health bar. He loses out in Ben now. This is where things start to get serious. King Kong Poppy has to get the boop off the high ground. No one can use the amplification matrix. So George Mason fighting toe-to-toe. Actually, less than that, within the Kitsune Rush Sacred End, this is his time to go ahead and shine. Beat Stealer, once again, booped off the high ground. King Kong Poppy is playing out of his mind right now. Not at the kill feed, but just essentially spoon-feeding these eliminations to Shenandoah. Now it's Sacred End's turn, wrapping around the back, has had enough of these low-value overclocks. He's truncating the damage into the tanks, and these Poetries are having absolutely none of it. Back to the spawn, to them. Shenandoah, they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, wall coming out as well from Voidex there. And props to King Kong Poppy, right? He was absolutely unreal in that fight, getting everyone off of these high grounds. The boop back into the Terror Surge onto Ibex. I haven't seen any of that, but I'm also, of course, in silver elo, so maybe not everything is thinking at that high of a level as King Kong Poppy, right? But Voidex and Cherry, the Dragon Blade coming up huge for GMU.
Yeah, they're going to manage to grab 2, and this is going to be a tough re-engage for Shenandoah, to be totally honest. You're looking still at a sound barrier and annihilation. Just one of those things is going to go ahead and put Shenandoah down. Ben in a very sticky situation. Looks like he's going to be able to stay alive just with some cover fire. Out of the Sojourn, we're going to still attempt to re-engage. Even if they don't win, you can force a sound barrier and or an annihilation. Let's take the and on that one. That is everything out of the Patriots just to secure this objective, wiping Shenandoah clean. Now we have 3 minutes to move to the streets phase.
Yeah, 3 minutes now to get to this second point here with the payload. But like you said, the beat and the Ramatra ultimate getting used there on the side of GMU. That's exactly what SU wanted, right? They knew they couldn't really contest that site again, right? SU getting a team killed there, but not too bad, right? You get 2 ultimates off the back. Bean Stealer will still have that window up and available on this map. Have to see where she's going to try to use that one to get this early damage. Terror Surge now very close on the side of Ben. Kitsune as well up now for Cherry. And the contest already coming through, just trying to hold any progress that GMU can have on this payload.
Shenandoah, they're in the driver's seat here. 3, 2, 1, time to go! That's the window out early with the boot back from Ben. Oh, he has got to get a move on fast, but George Mason, they're not even gonna bother. Beanstealers separated. There's nothing that they could do because their poor support was off all alone by herself, subject to a beating of the tank magnitude. And this is gonna be a great spot for the Hornets to hold. They have full control of Bookstore right now.
Yeah, it looked shaky there for a minute with the boop coming on to Ben, pushing everyone out of that Terror Surge, but Beanstealer unable to go the right direction, cut off by that Terror Surge in that alley means that all of that healing on the side of GMU is just not there, right? SU, the back half of the team, able to just wipe the rest of that fight there. Spear going a little bit high, trying to get someone off the payload there, potentially. Ben going a little bit low, able to stay alive. Vortex does have wall overclock as well available. King Kong probably about to have this beat up and available as well. This next fight is going to be very ultimate heavy.
Explosive is how we're going to describe it. It hasn't even started, or maybe less explosive. Ibex overextends here, essentially gifting the Hornets a free win. I mean, George Mason, you're not going to push without your leader in the damage. This is going to be a one-fight territory for GMU, but they're going to make sure it's even less. Shenandoah are not going to even let the Patriots get a regroup. They thought they were safe, but oh no. Shenandoah waited till they let their guard down for Sacred End to come in and strike.
Sacred End will get some pickups with this overclock. The beat and the wall still available for SU. Cherry about to have this Kitsune rush as well, but Ibinx again, Yuck again with their ultimates up and available. Thickman around 10% away from theirs as well. This next fight is going to come down to King Kong Poppy's beat, right? If he can get this at the perfect timing and counteract every single damage ability coming out from Ibinx and Yuck, that'll be huge for SU and will practically solidify the map.
It's going to get them to Sound Barrier early. Mr. Rush, for the first time, isn't going to have it up before King Kong Poppy. It's going to work out into their favor, but they use it for the overclock and not for the Dragon Blade, which that doesn't matter. If there's a Photon Barrier from your place, it's a melee weapon. Shenandoah now are in the losing position. King Kong Poppy, you hate to put all the pressure onto one guy, but it's such an important ultimate to go ahead and use. The Patriots going to steal away that second objective, forcing Shenandoah for 90 seconds hold onto the third.
Ibinx coming up huge there for GMU, able to find those backline kills with that Dragon Blade on this Genji. Now, Ben with the Terror Surge up and available. The Kitsune Rush still available here for Cherry as well. So you're going to end halfway up to that overclock on the side of SU. Beanstealer will have the window up and available. Two ultimates, both on the support side for GMU here. But so you're going to end finding these backline angles. The beat coming down early, the window as well up and available. If SU can stay alive, this will be huge.
Going to try, and once again, it's off of the back of a Ben Terror Surge. This is the best that I have seen this guy play all season. He is literally putting this team on his back, and he's like, all right, guys, we're going in. He's setting up the javelins. He's setting up with his ultimate. You can't ask any more of him right now.
The Orisa match now coming through on the side of GMU, swapping off of this Ramasho, right? Spear versus spear.
This is what you wanted.
Who lands it? I love Orisa versus Orisa. Who eats the spear, right? Ibinx getting hit by one there. 70% now on the Dragon Blade, almost up and available. Yuck swapping over to this McCree as well, halfway through up to this high noon. Oh, Cassidy, excuse me, on this high noon ability here, but it'll be interesting. SU almost having this overclock up and available.
Sacred End has not been his favorite ultimate throughout the day today. Yet it's gonna be the one that sends the Patriots back to the spawn. This map coming down once again to one final fight. Except for the first time, Shenandoah have the upper hand. King Kong Poppy has to stay alive. This beat once more, making or breaking their amount of success. The DPS ultimates to start it off. Voidex splitting the objective in half. Sacred End looking for the damage, but isn't going to find a javelin into the back bend. Now getting aggressive, knowing the sound barrier is there to back them up. Ibinx goes down with the blade. The timing on point, on par. Shenandoah, they're going to pull it back throughout King's Row. Perfect ultimate management, great leadership from the tank to tie up the series at one apiece.
Yeah, Ben getting aggressive there, knowing, like you said, having that beat in the back pocket. King Kong Poppy just waiting patiently. I love those googly eyes. That is so cool.
Sorry, I can't do it. They only do it once a year for April Fool's Day.
I love it.
And
I love it.
It's not. And usually, like, haha, that's funny. I mean, we're making a mockery of this game, but that's far from what any of this is. These teams are taking it so seriously, and it has been a long time since Shenandoah have had a matchup that is as close as this one right now. It's going to push them to the limits. It's going to test their endurance, their decision-making capabilities, and I mean, I'm going to say it again. Ben, I don't know what he had for dinner today, but whatever it is, it's working.
Yeah, I think that should be a daily routine. Whatever you had, right, whether it be dining hall or off campus, right? Just keep it going, right? For if you win this series, right, nothing should change. Holy moly, says the cat from Cherry. I don't know if that was Cherry's cat. Probably just a meme.
That was probably just a meme.
I think that was just a meme.
Just a meme
Yeah,
cat.
King Kong Poppy locked in, staying hydrated, as we can see there. But everyone's still locked in, feeling good. Ben there laughing as well. But going back to this last fight, what we just saw, just excellent communication and patience from every member of SU there. Just waiting out. They have the wall there. Ben knows that the beat is waiting for him for this backup. They just played aggressive, but not too aggressive. They didn't get too overzealous. They waited for GMU to come to them, and that was that.
Since the last time we've had this team on the stream, the difference in their macro level decision making is insane.
Yeah.
Like, you're deciding the tempo, how to. Usually their plan is we're gonna push in, and if we lose, we go next fight. But no, they've changed it to custom make it to the composition that they're playing. When you're playing this Orisa, you're relying off there's a couple ways you win the fights. It's either a javelin into a squishy character, you burn them down. You're waiting for the other Orisa to burn all of their key cooldowns, and you burn them down, or Sacred End pops off and clicks somebody's head. Those are the three ways you typically are going to win a fight. And instead of getting this overzealous aggression, like, hey, we're gonna win this, let's go, they're playing patient. They're letting GMU make mistakes and then capitalize on them. They're, for once, playing that slower, patient game while also managing this tempo of their own aggression to win them out maps, and I absolutely love to see it. I mean, this is what makes a great team right here is this smartness, the intelligence. I am a fan of it, but not as much of a fan as the next map type. We are going to map 3. Your favorite one is available. Did it get picked? It did not. Let's go. At least we get a colorful scenery as we zoom our way through the markets of India. Suravasa. It's going to be map number 3. Selection of GMU.
Suravasa is a good map. I like it. It's a little bit more colorful than New Junk City. I'll give it that much.
Yeah.
But
and there's only 2
lot
options.
Of orange. Yeah. Not enough orange for me.
Not enough orange?
Yeah, not enough orange.
Yeah. That's fair.
There's a lot of other good colors, though.
There's
a nice green. There's a nice blue.
I see a lot of purple. Ben? Purple's the best color.
That's true. Yeah, purple's pretty good.
Purple's pretty good. Yeah. Suravasa as a whole, though, like, if you're comparing it to New Junk City, it's more open.
Yeah.
It's less snowbally in a way, you could argue.
Yep.
A lot of these points are based more on environmental kills. You don't have to push through as many devastating choke points. You have options, right? That's why teams will often go towards Suravasa. Whereas if you pick New Junk City, there's certain little objectives within the flashpoint. What I'm specifically thinking of is Refinery and Ducks. You lose the first fight, it's unlikely you're going to come back and win another one. So Suravasa often closer in terms of teams, which makes it the right pick from GMU's standards with how they've been fighting toe-to-toe with the Hornets, looking to keep a similar tempo going in.
Right, and with team comps in relation to this, right, we're always going to see Lucio on Flashpoint. That is, number one, Lucio is just good, but the speed that he provides on rotations through these points is just unreal, right? No one can really match that unless you have a teleporter, but that's not something that you often do on Flashpoint maps, right? And Ibinx, right? Playing a lot of different heroes here today. Do we expect the Genji to come out again, or does he go back to something like that May?
Here's the thing for GMU. GMU for so long have been relying on Ibinx to be the main damage dealer, the initiator, and it worked because Genji was one of the best DPS heroes in the game for the last couple of months. But now that's started to change. and your playstyle also needs to start changing. Ibinx, while he is like one of the best players you're going to find in Collegiate on specific heroes, it so happens that unfortunately those specific heroes aren't as strong, aren't as fight-defining as they were previously. In fact, they're counteracted by players such as Voidex on the Symmetra. So George Mason, this is an adjustment period to them. They now have to be the ones to decide what can we give to Ibinx to help him succeed the best, so therefore we as a team can succeed.
Ibinx will stay on the Genji here, staying on comfort, opting not to play this Mei for this wall. Voidex as well, hovering Sacred End already down early in the fight. Spear coming through from Ben will not connect on anyone of note really in that exchange, but Sacred End falling early in that exchange really means that they just have to pull off, back up, and play for a recontest.
Yeah, that was a couple kunai to the dome, maybe a shuriken thrown in there. Either way, a lot of headshots, and Sacred End didn't have a head to look at them anymore, unfortunately. Your Sojourn is back now. That's a plus. And you have a teleporter to easily access this objective. Shenandoah, they take fights much quicker. They can take more of them because of this return speed you have, just speed on your own. The big thing is you don't really want to contest Hydra. Yuck and Ibinx will have full control of these little pillars that we're seeing Yuck currently stationed on. You gotta deal with it. And there goes Ibinx. Don't know where he was, but he's in the grave now. I can tell you that much for sure. The Hornets can move up just off of that elimination alone. There's no longer this threat of being peppered down from any other angle. You know that Thickman already popped the door to fortify on out, so that's going to be a good old dip and reset to the Patriots.
Yeah, the regroup, the recontest coming in from SU. Voidex will fall to Lucio. Yeah, they're playing aggressive. Sacred and able to find that Lucio. Again, off of that backside chair, getting a little bit low, able to TP out, back to safety, back to Ben. The tank, the Kitsune will come back in. Yeah, the re-engage coming through yet again from GMU. Looking strong, but everyone's still alive. The Kitsune now coming through from Cherry could be the difference maker. Yuck with the overclock, able to find Sacred Head on the back side. King Kong Pop is trying to stay alive. The beat up and available. No one really falling on the side of SU. Just Sacred End will go. The beat now coming down. The Terror Surge as well, possibly able to find one. Will be able to do so. Lucio falling on the backside of this fight. And again, recontest to recontest, SU coming out on top.
Yes, they did come out on top of the battle. Problem was they lost the objective halfway through. So in reality, it was more George Mason who won out that engagement. In Shenandoah, there's still an opportunity for the Patriots to come back in with a recontest. You had to use the sound barrier there. You had to like Kitsune Rush. So you have all the health that you could possibly want. The Dragon Blade is a threat. It's no longer it's a wet noodle. It's more of a danger noodle that George Mason have access to. Ibinx has done it once before. And once he sees the blade here, you'll get on a major threat. There's only so much that a photon barrier can do. Terror Surge into the back, anticipating the rush. The turrets are going to help, yet not quite enough. You have to fear the Genji. A trade is even. You don't contest the objective. That's a bit unfortunate and a bit of what we would call a Charlie Niner. Bit of yikes to end round number one, we'll say.
Spear will land, however, on to the enemy
That's
Orisa.
A highlight. That's a highlight of that.
That's 1-to-1, I think, now on the spear count on Orisa.
Yeah.
So looking good, right? Looking strong, evened up right now. But like you said, the point does come through for SU, right?
Yeah.
And that's Ibinx with the Dragon Blade just getting picked off right into those turrets, able to find one onto Voidex, but unable to find anything else. Ben does go down, but that's just on rotation. The site now opening back up here shortly. Voidex trying to TP out, will be unable to do so. A regroup now coming back for SU.
Yeah, you're going to get a full-on reset there. Didn't expect Lucio to be in that position. I don't blame him. I wouldn't have expected either. Key thing, though, Ibinx has given up on the Genji.
Yeah, Ibinx now over to this Tracer. A little bit more mobility and some survivability now back in the pocket of GMU. Now trying to find these pulse bombs onto these back carry members of SU. Ben playing patient, waiting for everyone to gather up. TP up high coming through from SU. Now coming back in on this recontest. Ben about to have Terror Surge up and available. Kitsune and Overclock available now for SU. Ben getting dangerously low. The Terror Surge will possibly come through, not quite just yet. Voidex getting very low. Ibinx will fall.
Yeah, Ibinx is not having a good time on the Tracer. I mean, I can see why he's defaulting to this Genji. It's been a rough pick. almost canceling out the sound barrier. King Kong Poppy had the right idea, and even if George Mason was the fight, it was a later beat, maybe would have held on to that a little bit longer, just so you can have the time. I don't blame Shenandoah though. You're not taking any risks when the objective is this close to being lost. You commit what you need to do, even getting an overclock out of Yuck. Okay, you go ahead and take that.
Yeah, Yuck opting to use that overclock in that exchange, trying to find these later half picks after the beat wears off, but not able to do anything with it. Ibinks will have the pulse bomb up and available. Thickman as well. The Terror Surge very close, will be online for this next fight as well. Sacred End and Voidex almost up to 100% on their ultimates as well. Sacred End will have his available Voidex for the next exchange. Most likely will have it back up and available as well. So 2-2 in the ult department. Sacred End opting to pop the overclock a little bit early here, trying to get aggressive, trying to find this early kill, but Ibinks again, Cherry, able to pick them off, poking from that backside.
Ibinks continuously is the first one down, and the Tracer has been a struggle. I mean, George Mason, they haven't practiced with it enough, I believe, and I mean, Ibinks is just so far ahead of the rest of the team that Shenandoah can easily just whip their heads around, blow up the teleporter, and that's all it takes to win that battle. George Mason, yeah, you're going to have one more contest, but not a whole lot that you're looking at to reasonably win it out. You're fighting into turrets, the photon barrier. The only way this happens is Thickman, big combo with Ibinks, but if Thickman's dead, well, where's the combo? It's stuck to a photon barrier in the middle of the point. Thank you, Mr. Voidex. Shenandoah closing out their second objective here of Suravasa, only needing one more to advance to a series lead.
Now, if you didn't catch that, what killed Orisa there was an Orisa spear.
It was.
So that's something to note. 2-1 now in the spear count versus Orisa's, I believe, if I'm keeping track correctly, right? But like you said, a great fight there from SU with that wall coming through. The Kitsune as well from Cherry. 2-0 now on this flashpoint. Map point now in favor of SU. Yuck now opting to switch over to this Reaper, trying to get some more survivability, some more damage. The Kitsune Rush already coming through, but Bean Stealer will fall early in the exchange. Ibinks trying to stay alive, trying to find kills of their own, but will be unable to do so.
Bean Stealer poked her head out a little bit too long just to lay down the ultimate, which ended up not getting any value whatsoever. Shenandoah gonna get recontest yet in Sacred End, sent down into the drink. What you gonna do to compensate for that? Well, you don't have a ton of resources left. The sound barrier only hitting a couple of characters. George Mason, they're currently up in the fight, or at least they were, until Ben got himself back up on all four legs, marched on forwards, and has just been outdoing Stickman in the Orisa 1v1.
Man, GMU just cannot get a handle on Ben's Orisa right now. Just frying through the front line of GMU, just able to stay alive. There's nothing that they can really do right now against this SU team. They are rolling, firing on all cylinders right now. Ben now not close to the Terror Surge, but Sacred End on the other hand is very close to the overclock. Voidex now around 20% away as well, along with Cherry here for the Kitsune Rush. But two ults on the side, the beat and the pulse bomb available for GMU. Death Blossom as well, almost up and available for Yuck as well. That could be huge if they can find this backline access and get Cherry and King Kong Poppy out of the way early with this Death Blossom up in about 20%, around 20 to 30 seconds here. That would be huge. Spear again onto Voidex, but yeah, Yuck just getting found out by Sacred End.
You know what's big here is George Mason, they no longer have anybody dealing with Sacred End. Without Yuck being on the Sojourn, you don't have any range on your team. I mean, it's essentially a field day for the Sojourn player. Reaper can get nowhere near close enough to even sniff out what Shenandoah is trying to do. George Mason on the verge of losing this map. They need to get themselves onto the point, which while the contest is there, what else do they have to work with? A Pulse Bomb, Death Blossom, those are the ways they can win the fight. The Hornets, they have so much more at their disposal. Nice Terror Surge, pulling them all in, shutting them down. Yuck again falls before the ultimate can make an appearance. The Hornets, they have really stepped into themselves here on map number 3, Suravasa. Despite the rough start, they're going to close it out 3-0 in the map to take themselves up to a match point.
A very, very commanding map number 3 for the Hornets here. A quick 3-0 for the squad. Feeling excited behind us. We can hear the excitement from the squad. And let's see here. This is all Orisa. Let's watch.
Orisa. Okay. Yeah, we gotta watch. We have to feast our eyes on the excellency, which is Benjamin before us. Again, he is dominating on the Orisa. He's a one-man herd, one-man horse, one-man thing.
Army.
That's what we're looking for.
One-man horse. I like that one better.
You like that one better? I kind of like that one better, but it doesn't
One-man
really make
horse.
much sense. And he
Yeah.
would probably appreciate it. He would probably think it would funny, but
Yeah, probably.
And he's smiling. He's laughing. He knows that he's doing good, and that's the best thing about Ben is that as soon as he starts to feel confident, he gets comfortable. It's an exponential increase from there. There is no pushing this guy off of his high horse.
Yeah.
He's going to keep on going forwards, and that's the main thing. That has been an issue. Normally we talk about players such as Sacred End and Voidex to pop off on a hit scan player, but today it's been the story of Ben and King Kong Poppy working together, setting these fights up, not relying on these major pop-off moments.
Yeah, and this is what we love to see from the squad, right? They are just all together. They are so just cohesive throughout every single fight that they have, right? Especially on Ben, the communication, the patience, waiting for the support to get there, and not just going in by himself on an Orisa. Sure, the character is probably the best character in the game, in my humble opinion. I know you might have different thoughts, but I think she is.
I'm glad you think that.
But she can't go 1v5. Right. That's one thing that she cannot do. Right. So the patience coming through from Ben is something that we love to see, waiting for these beats for King Kong Poppy Cherry with these heals, with the cleanse, right? Just patience across the board, not overextended, finding these late fight picks, really swinging the tide back in SU's favor.
Yeah. And there's also not a point, actually, there was one point in that map, but Ultimate Economy, by far away the Hornets. There was one fight that GMU should have won, but didn't end up winning because of that. And it was a genius play. Again, Javelin off a Ben. Just saying. Then a pretty big cooldown. You're moving on forwards. The DPS line is a bit lost. You went from the Genji to the Tracer to the Reaper from the Sojo. Like, there were 5 different DPS on the board during that game. None of them have worked out. George Mason, you can tell this is the map that they're starting to be like, okay, we really need to find a solution. We need to find it fast. You tried 5 different combinations. None of them ended up working out. So realistically, this is going to be a tough comeback for them. They move in down on match point. The Hornets are up. Their confidence is sailing higher than the moon. What really is there left to stop them? Is there anything that GMU has been holding up their sleeve this entire time? That's what else do they have left to show? And Shenandoah have just been feeling it this last map. And I seriously think there are so few things that could really knock them down right now.
Yeah, for the side of GMU, right? The Genji is not connecting and working the way they want it to work, right? I'd love to see something going back to this mate that did work in map number 1, right, on that control, but it's just a different game style, right? It's harder to really pull out Maze in some of these other game modes, right? Because you're not just sitting on this point and holding it, right? Maybe Flashpoint, it does work out because you are kind of rotating around onto these control points, but it's just hard to really know where it's going to be, right? Because May is very dependent on the setup, right? And in Flashpoint, you don't know where you're going to be after the first point, right? So if this Genji comes online, it looks like they are trying to get to happen, right? That could spell disaster for SU. But right now, it does not look like a threat at all.
As of current, no. And a lot of that is... Usually if you're going to succeed on Genji, it's because nobody can either A, hit you, or B, looks at you. So both of those things have been happening, and it's not even a person necessarily. It's a thing. It's the turrets that Voidex has been putting behind them. Like, they're bodyguarding the supports right now. Cherry has 3 little buddies to keep her alive. If the Genji goes around, those turrets aren't missing. It's impossible for turrets to miss. So there's only so much damage that needs to be done. So what Ibanks is used to doing in his big carry role of just eliminating one person by himself is now darn near impossible. Shenandoah have made the adequate changes in order to prevent that from happening even further. They're up on match point. Push is one of Shenandoah's best game modes. We've only seen it once here on the stream so far. And the second time that we're going to see it, same map, Esperanza, going to Portugal. Often, like I say, probably the least... what's the best word? It's the most turnable out of the push maps that you could argue.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like this one. I think it favors Orisa pretty hard, right? I mean, in my humble onion, I think Orisa is good on every map. Yeah, humble opinion. You know, I just say onion. I don't know why. I'm not sure as to why.
Your opinion has layers.
It has layers, exactly. My opinion has layers. That's why it's a humble onion indeed. But in my humble onion, Orisa, does a little bit of everything, right? She has layers to her kit, right? She can spin, she can throw, and she can stay alive for a very long time, which is something that you want to have happen when it comes to push.
Spin to win, baby. that's how the horse works.
Beyblade, yeah.
Beyblade,
You ever play Beyblades?
Beyblades? No, I've not. The robot has eyeballs!
Does it?
It does. Oh, we
that's
better
awesome.
see that. If we get to see that sometime today, I want to look at the robot eyeballs if my observers can hear me. But on to more serious business that are not pretty fun. Googly eyes. Esperanza, with the exception of all the pushed maps, is the only one where you can play, dive, and make it work. Thank you for the eyeballs. They do exist. George Mason needed to change up their game. This is how they're going to do it. Dive, Echo, Tracer against Shenandoah. Historically, the Hornets have struggled against fast-paced compositions. Now, they're going to have to adjust their macro gameplay all over again.
You got to look at where these spears go, right?
Yes,
if a
you
spear
do.
can find one of these, specifically if it finds Tracer right, she's gone. There's
Yeah.
no way Tracer really lives after getting hit by a spear. That's for sure. I know you have some flashbacks moments there from getting hit by spears, probably.
I don't want
Probably
to
a
talk
lot.
about it.
Ibinx getting a little bit low there, but contests already coming through. SU getting a few meters on the board for them there. Yuck as well. Low Ibinx again falling early. Voidix able to find that kill ticket in on the backside as well. Barely staying alive. Yuck able to seal the deal on that one. Cherry able to keep King Kong Poppy alive, but Cherry will fall herself. But as I say that, Thick Man, Winston will fall. Voidix going crazy on the backside.
Scrappy, to say the least, yet at the dust starting to settle. It is 2 players of Shenandoah and 1 of George Mason, who has no intention of stopping this robot for the time being.
Yeah.
When Shenandoah are playing this game, you have significantly more frontline presence. They can push up as far as they want to, but they need to be careful in protecting their backline. Ibinx now has that support. I mentioned before that he can no longer be this superstar and kill somebody all by himself. He needs help. He's got to have friends. Thick Man, yeah, those are your friends to be able to work with. And the Hornets, as you can see, are playing more passive in order to compensate for that. Have been a spear available, watching where theirs are going, just like you said. That's how they're going to manage to win these fights, even if the robot is off to a very slow start.
Ibinx 25% away from the pulse bomb here. Yuck getting dangerously low as well. The beat almost up and available for King Kong Poppy. Some key ultimates getting close to coming online for this next fight here. 1330 meters in favor of SU. Not a whole lot going on in the robot walking department, right? But hoping to get something going, right? Yuck does have the clone up and available. The beat will come down. Perfect timing almost coming through. Yes, perfect timing from King Kong Poppy. Voidix, however, getting dangerously low, will be able to stay alive. The wall not yet used, but still alive is Voidix, barely. Now Ibinx able to get into that backside. Thick Man getting that rampage going, but those Symmetra turrets yet again doing work. Spear as well. Bean Stealer will fall, but a one fight in favor of GME.
This is the most push thing ever. It's been almost 3 minutes, and we've had a total of less than 20 meters on the board. That's a bit crazy for a push point, but that's also how it goes in the early phases of Esperanza. Shenandoah, they know it was expensive for the Patriots to win that. 3 ultimates expended, and they were patient about their own. As soon as they recognized, like, hey, we're not going to lose this fight. We're going to stay alive as long as we can and just come back and stop them with our good old 1, 2, 3, 4 check marks that they have on the line. They Kitsune rush, and the main part of the point bend goes on through, pulling them all in. Now that doesn't get too far. Ibinx is in a bit of trouble. Ended up forcing the recall. George Mason, they need a way to re-engage. It's Misa Rush, second life online. That sound barrier, incredibly well-timed, has continued to impress and honestly win Patriots in fights that they arguably should be losing.
Yeah, Thick Man getting dangerously low, will fall to Ben Spear, again going a little bit wide, but the Lucio staying alive, buying time, the Kiriko as well on to this robot, trying to get something done, trying to keep this contest going for GME. Will be able to do so. Cherry will fall in the meantime. Ibinx will go down, however the Spear will land as well. A possible kill coming over, not quite just yet. The TP out from the Kiriko will keep them alive, but good fight coming through from SU there. Ibinx again getting caught out in that backside. Ben, the only one remotely close to the robot right now, having to wait for some reinforcements to come through, and now the push going to this point. A contest coming through again from Ivings, getting dangerously low yet again. The recall coming through, the spin to win. Ivings barely still alive. Will fall, however, Ben able to chase that one down. And now the lead regained for SU.
I love how we saved on Ben through that entire POV. It shows how they won the fights and how they're even going to come back in this one. Already built up another territory line. Use that in the last full engagement. Completely negates whatever Yuck was trying to do on the Echo. And Shenandoah now have a secure lead. If we keep playing this push map, how it's been going, and this very well could be the Hornets walking away with this first catch point. And George Mason losing these sword spawns, there's so much further that you're going to have to come back. It's one step forward for Shenandoah and two more steps that George Mason have to take backwards.
King Kong Poppy does have the sound barrier up and available for this next fight. The timing, as we always go over, is pivotal when it comes to these sound barriers. Lucy on the other side of GMU will have theirs up here shortly here, but opting to play the long game here, coming up behind GMU, trying to stay aggressive on this bridge here, giving possession of the robot back over in favor of GMU. Now the contest coming through from King Kong Poppy.
Sound barrier here. Very important for Mr. King Kong. Poppy's got to make it happen sometime today and hopefully not pull the trigger too early. Thickman living with a sliver of HP. Can they confirm the elimination? No, instead it's Voidex who ends up falling. Thickman staying alive here almost guarantees he's going to have access to a primal rage, and it's Winston's second life on his own. So Shenandoah, yes, they still have the lead to work with, and they're going to keep putting ultimates into the fight, knowing how close Voidex and Sacred End are on their own, but no, he's going to be beaten back. George Mason said, all right, you're going to knock us down? Okay, we're going to get back up and push you even harder. Likely the Patriots evening up the scoreline here.
Sacred End now swapping back off that Cassidy over to this Reaper. Not something that we often see a player like Sacred End on. Often opts for these hit scan characters here. Loves to play stuff like the Sojourn with the hit scan with the right click. At least that's what mine's binding to. I don't know what his is binding to, but I'd like to hope that it's right click. The wall.
Sacred End is a Reaper enthusiast, even if he doesn't get to play it a lot. It's a character that he does enjoy and has plenty of time on, and it makes anything that Thickman wants to do close to Shenandoah, it's an instant death. So Sacred End simply existing, doing his job already negates George Mason, deters them from wanting to jump into the backline at all. So, I mean, look at the damage that you're already forcing out. That's a Terror Surge when all the cooldowns are disappeared, forcing a late sound barrier. Mesa Rush has to play even further forward than they would have liked to in this moment. Ben, though, in a bit of trouble. That extra sound barrier health that you gained was enough to overpower him and give George Mason the upper hand. It was a lengthy, long battle. Shenandoah took the fight as they should have, but at the end of the day, didn't have the resources to match it.
Yeah, ults not available there for SU in that fight. King Kong Poppy did not have the sound barrier available, whereas Mesa Rush did have it available on the side of GMU. Now able to meet that point. Possession now the lead in favor of GMU with this robot spear coming through from Ben. Will connect a little wave to the side before he punches it right in the face. But yeah, another spear will land. Love to see it.
Spears are great.
The spears are great, but they need to win fights off of those spears, right? You can't always be spearing the Winston. If you can find these backline targets like Yuck, like Ivings here, that would be huge. Kitsune coming through from Beansteel a little bit early, maybe a little bit overzealous, but Cherry will fall to Yuck.
Yeah, the Kitsune Rush just where it needed to be. I mean, Beanstealer just accelerates every single cooldown that George Mason needed to have. And this is where you start to get scared if you're a fan of Shenandoah, because now you have to walk this robot all the back around, under the bridge, towards the middle, under another bridge, and even further than it's already gotten. And you have less than 2 minutes to do so, and you're at an ultimate disadvantage. Sound barrier, King Kong Poppy, I'm putting all of my faith and trust into you and Cherry. The resources, the healing has to be present for Ben Voidex to sustain long enough in this battle. Sacred End now on his fourth hero, of the entire map, hoping this can place some dampener on the progress George Mason has gained so far. Pulse bomb from either side isn't going to land quite yet. The sound barrier, it's going to push them forward. Some elimination has to be confirmed, but there's nobody there. It's a pulse bomb from the duplicate. Kills 3 players. An insane play you rarely ever see is going to keep George Mason pushing forwards.
A huge duplicate
Wow.
from Yuck. The pulse bomb finding 3 on the backside. Ben, Vortex, and Cherry will have their ults up and available. Look for Ben's Terror Surge. If he's able to find this backside, they have been so clutch in previous fights, but man, GMU is rolling right now with this dive competition.
Shenandoah, if they win this fight, you're going to have to win another 4 after this to even get back to where you started and gain that lead again. Thankfully, they will be able to go through and likely stagger the Patriots on back by the looks of it. Bean Stealer will have these forward spawns and you'll cancel them out eventually. But Shenandoah, conserve their resources as much as possible. This is where all of this patience, ultimate management is going to put to the test.
Yeah, they need to make sure they have some kind of advantage looking into these later fights. Spear going a little bit wide, just trying to pre-fire someone poking their head out from behind that wall. But they need to stay on this over now. 5 seconds left. This is going to be an overtime push if SCU wants to win it.
It's going to be close. 3 consecutive fights needed to gain the lead at a minimum. You don't have the kind of resources to work with it. You're knowing NACE Overwatch has the sound barrier in play. They're pushing them all the way back. Sound barrier, it's going to come out, but it doesn't get nearly enough value to hit every single player. You lose out on Voidex, you lose out on Cherry, the Hornets. This one's starting to hurt. They've used every resource that they have left to fill the tank, running on fumes until eventually they're going to end up sputtering out, stalling on map number 4. And I got to say, it's only fitting with how close these two teams have been fighting to end it in a 5th.
Map 5, right? This is something that we often think of our Rocket team.
Rocket League team.
Rocket League
Rocket team,
Rocket
yeah.
team, you know.
Going to
the
space.
Rocket game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Car soccer.
Car soccer, yeah.
Well, that's not this.
No.
But they're definitely taking a page out of their book going to this map 5 here. Still calm, cool, collected, looking very focused on the faces of the SU squad here. But what went wrong here on this push, Ben?
I'm putting on my analytical hat here for a little bit, and it's the pacing. It's the dive. You're not prepared to take on this pace. When I was watching them in the warm-ups, the one map that they really wasn't close was a Dorado, an Escort, when they had to play against this Winston, this Tracer, the Echo. There isn't one target you can nail down. You're not waiting for enemy cooldowns to burn out as much as you are because they come up so quick. You have to be much more precise with the actions that you are taking, and it is simply more difficult to try to fight against GMU when you're purposely putting yourself at a slower pace.
Yeah.
I did worry if we got to a map 4 and a map 5, knowing how well GMU play their dive. That is one of their signature compositions. Shenandoah, it's their biggest challenge to play against. Escort maps, what we're going to see for map number 5, vast majority of them are dive maps. The only thing that is good for the Hornets right now, they have the map pick in their favor. Ben is still popping off. There wasn't a simple thing that went wrong. It was not a one player, this happened, they need to fix this. No, it was an overall fundamental confusion of how to play against GMU. And by the time they figured it out, it was too little, too late to make that comeback and now put themselves down to one final map to decide if their season continues.
Like you said, we do have SU map pick, right? Which could be the difference maker here in map 5, right? But like you said, map 4s and map 5s are consistently dive comp heavy, right? So I'd expect GMU to kind of stick with the same kind of thing going with this Winston, possibly Doomfist. I know Doomfist is pretty good in dive compositions, but I don't know if he's good right now per se. Is he good right now?
He's good right now, but you have to be like a specialist at Doom. So
That's
I don't
fair.
think we'll see any of that.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, so probably the Winston, again,
Probably
if
the
they are
Winston,
looking for
depending
this
on the
dive
map.
comp, right? I'd expect SU to stick with the exact same thing that they have been doing. I would just the Orisa, right? It's been working. Ben has been playing very, very strong, very, very well, very confident, and the communication with the team has been solid with following this Orisa and off of these Terror Surges, right? So I'd expect to see the same thing coming through from SU.
Yeah. This is an important map for SU, for GMU, for everybody that is involved. It could be the last map of the entire career of 3 players. Their entire collegiate career lands on this map, Circuit Royale. And Ben, you notice that when I said dive is good on almost all Escort maps, this is the exception. This is the map that Shenandoah are putting themselves in the hands of Sacred End and Voidex. Sniper Central. It's their playground. These long sight lines. You're playing with the poke hump, the shield. This is what we expected to see back on Paradiso, should that have come out. But Shenandoah, they feel the confidence in the long-range game, knowing that Ibinx doesn't particularly play a hero that is strong on this map. This is where they're putting their cards in, whether they expect it to be on a map 5 or not. This is the ultimate test that you're facing. You've lost to this dive competition. You've lost any time you've not been in the mirror. If you're going to learn how to overcome, if your season is going to continue, you're going to have to learn to fight back against the very thing that put you down here in the first place.
Yeah, I love this pick coming through, right? Because like you said, it counteracts that dive composition that we saw SU struggle greatly against in map 4, right? I would love to see Hanzo for the sniper pick. I know you don't like Hanzo. I think he's pretty cool.
He's cool.
He can climb walls. Genji can too, but I think it's a little bit cooler when Hanzo does it because he's a bow.
He also shoots tree trunks with a bow that, like, instead of just dinking me in the head, full on, like, make me fall over. And, like, there's a, it's not great.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
the thing.
We'll see the Widow, though.
Are they going to do it? Oh, I want them to do it so bad. I'm not going to say anything unless it happens, but... Well, I want to talk. Let's talk more about GMU, because you do get your Hanzo pick after all.
I do, but it's not on SU.
It isn't on SU.
But I still see it, which is nice to see. Double sniper coming through, the Sigmas as well on both sides. Pretty much almost a mirrored comp. The Zyra being hovered as well. Zarya, excuse me. Yep, that is a League of Legends champion. If you didn't know, Zyra is a support league champ. So that's where my knowledge is. But yeah. Who gets the Widow pick, right?
Yep. Yuck versus Sacred Edge. Something else going to be defined, quite literally. And is it the one time that I'm okay with the Hanzo pick? I genuinely think it's kind of weak here, comparatively. Sojourn is a better shot, and not if you don't have a Zenyatta. Okay, Yuck is to be feared. You can tell Sacred Ed took a moment to pause. He's like, all right, that just happened. I need to be cautious. Sacred Ed, not only does he have good aim, though, he has the brain to play the snipers, knows not to sit in one spot particularly, and is going to play the sniper more as a zoning tool. If you get a pick, great, but it's enough just to push back your opponent and buy this pale the space it needs to move.
Yeah, trying to get just this pick, this poke potential, making the Widow known, right? Knowing that this Widow is somewhere in the area is a terrifying thought, especially if they can find his Voidix. Will fall, though, in the exchange there, halting the push coming through the swap. Will possibly come through from Voidix, not just yet from Sacred End, excuse me, onto the Sojourn now. The pause will come through.
That's
Wonder
unfortunate.
what that is about. Right before the rock nails the other Sigma, right?
That's kind of unfortunate. I mean, like, I don't want to pause, like, in time where the boulder is, like, yonking at my face. That
would be terrifying.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah, you just sit there waiting.
Like, you just see it's like,
I know this is going to hit me. And now you just think about how hard it's going to hit, right? Just got to sit there and be like, maybe it won't be too bad. But it is a pretty big boulder.
It is a pretty big boulder. If it's tank, it's not that big of a deal. Now, if it was a Widowmaker, I'd be more concerned.
Yeah, that would be a quick squish.
It would be a quick squish. We're not on the Widowmaker anymore, though.
Yeah.
Sacred End did swap over to the Sojourn, a much more consistent form of damage. I don't think this matches it here. I feel like we swapped that. It's perhaps what led to the pause. We're going to find out momentarily, but unless you're trying to TP up close to them and make something happen that way, there's just not much value left to be desired, and you're not going to want to play close with a Sigma with a sniper. Like, you don't want two Widowmakers, the scopes poked at each other's heads like 2 inches from each other. That's no fun. That takes away the purpose of a sniper duel. So I want to keep an eye out on that. Shenandoah, we're in the process of making swaps, so it's hard for us to dictate the direction they wanted to go from there on out. But I do want to mention, Hanzo, it worked out better than I wanted it to work out. Ibinx has one more ace up his sleeve, and of course, the good old Archer, the meme of all memes, as I like to call him.
The meme of all memes? Why is he a meme?
Han, again, it's just, that's not an arrow. That's a whole dang tree trunk. It could like hit me over, like it will register over here, but it still counts as a headshot.
That is true. There is
that's my thing with Hanzo.
Pretty big hitbox for sure. But that's why he's so fun to play, because it makes you look so good.
If you play him, if you play against him,
then it's not as fun.
Then it's not as fun. Yeah, there we go. Clarification.
I can get on board with that.
So I think we're glad you're having fun. We'll do that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Well, we'll
genuinely.
have to see where this goes, right? What this pause is about. Possibly something wrong with maybe swapping characters, maybe some selection thing happening on the side of SU. Not sure what exactly is going on just yet, but yeah.
Okay, that's why we love
get
to
to
have
chill.
our lovely competition coordinator here, sitting right above my head, our good buddy Nando, helping to support our team in a very late playoff match. And again, this team made top 16 specifically 5 out of the past 6 seasons. If you did notice, this is not technically seed 16. So if you look at brackets, there's usually a nice even number, like a 16 single elimination. Because there's 17 and Shenandoah is the 16th seed, they have to play George Mason first, who is that 17th, in order to move on to that bracket, which normally is played on Tuesdays, hence why we're on a Monday. So if they beat George Mason today, they'll go on to play Maryville tomorrow, which a whole other story if that happens. But otherwise, if they're not able to close it out here on Circuit Royale, it would be the end of their season. And this honestly makes that pause so much worse in terms of timing.
Yeah, I know, right? When you're like having the momentum, right? You're coming off of a loss, right, on map 4, but it was a pretty close map 4, right? It wasn't too bad. Well, it was close at the beginning, and then this way,
That happened.
Well, it looked good at the beginning, right? The momentum kind of fell off a little bit towards the end of map number 4, but swapping back over to the Sojin on Sacred End, something that he just looks so good on, just a pocket pick for this guy, the captain of SU, right? Ben onto the Sigma, something that he's also very confident on, has played it a lot. The boulders look good when he's throwing them for sure. So, I don't know. It's really who gets the backline access, right? If Sojin is able to, if Sacred End, is able to get these backline shots onto these snipers, onto Hanzo specifically, and get Ibinx out of the way, that could be a huge turning point in these team fights. Because snipers, they dish out a lot of like headshot damage, right? But if they're not hitting, it's hard to really have constant DPS from snipers. And that's something that, if they can get on the board early, could be huge for SU.
And even I want to look at this less from a game standpoint, but more from a mental of a competitor right now. You've played this series. You came off the map that you recently lost and are forced into a reset, which is either going to be the reason that the Hornets win, to have time to help break this down even further, or I don't want to be in their own heads. I mean, it's been as close as it is. You still have plenty of this attack phase left to go. They haven't even had the opportunity to make these swaps, and it always sucks when these technical difficulties come into play, because it disrupts your mentality as a competitor. You can speak more to this, being the captain of our League of Legends Academy team.
Yeah. When there is technical difficulties, definitely you're just like sitting there like, you get stiff, right? You're not in that kind of game like mindset of like, all right, this is what we were gonna do. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it rolling, right? You're just sitting back, kind of relaxing, maybe just looking at other people, you know, being like, hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Not really thinking a whole lot about the game, right? But coming out of these pauses is something that teams often can struggle with, right? Because you do have so much downtime. But if they can come out swinging, it goes both ways, right? Because GMU is also on a pause, right? So both sides are having this mental reset. So if SU can get these swaps and get a huge team fight, that momentum can be greatly in their favor, and then they can keep just rolling through that pause reset. Because sometimes it's really hard to get out of that kind of stiffness in your wrists and your arms, your elbows, however you like to flick.
Shake 'em out.
Right, yeah. You can just shake them out a little bit. Keep it energized, keep the mindsets there, and just stay positive. Be happy, right?
Don't worry, be happy.
Yeah.
It's a great motto.
Thanks.
Isn't that a song? I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's a song. Yeah,
it's a song.
Don't worry, be happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
I don't know if
listen
that's
to
the name of it, but that's definitely a lyric.
It's definitely like the main part of the song.
Yeah, it's definitely like, what is it, the melody? Yeah, the melody.
Is it? The melody, the chorus.
The chorus.
That's
the one.
There we go.
That's the one.
Two very musical people over here.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep. So in tune with my musical side.
I know, right? Ooh, we're so good at this. Hey, that's why we're talking about video games and not music. So, and this is a tough pause for everybody. I mean, even me, my throat is starting to get kind of parched. It's been 4 maps of excitement. It is hard for me to contain myself, as I am also personally a fan of this team. I'm allowed to say that I am a student here, and I cast for the school, for the record. but they're like this is the moment. This is the moment for them that they've been playing for all season. Knowing you're starting out in the Super League, going into that, you really didn't expect to win many games with the caliber of teams that you're having there.
Yeah.
To put this into perspective, Maryville, who currently is the #1 seed, just competed in the professional Overwatch tournament, OWCS, and placed 4th in the North American region against other professional players. That's scary, all right?
A little.
As good as Shenandoah is, that's a whole nother level. Whole nother level of competition that you're looking at. So this LCQ, this return to the playoffs, is their moment to make the comeback. And now Shenandoah have the time to go back. They've reevaluated their game plan. Minute gone by. What's going to be the move from here on out?
Swapping now over
Reinhardt.
to the Reinhardt. Oh, yeah. Tried and true. They're back to what got them all this fame in the first place, right? The Reinhardt TP comp, back to comfort, back to everything that they know how to play, right? The TP already coming up behind wall, up as well to take it, and the BAP is already gone.
Wow. Wow. I can guarantee you GMU did not see that coming at all. As much as this is Shenandoah's bread and butter, they've held it in waiting for quite some time. Even though I said at the beginning of the map that it's the sniper's playground, if you're not going to win the sniper battles, don't take them. That's what Shenandoah are doing. You give Ben all of the space that he needs, as in put him smack dab in front of the space grandpa, chop him down a little bit with a big old hammer. That's how you win your fights. Simple, easy, and done. You don't put your Lisa through the teleporter by himself. That was a boulder that has his name transcribed on it. Trading out for Misrum, though, that's probably best case scenario out of a rather risky position to be in. Shenandoah are pushing this forward. Think man's really overextended. They won't get the kill, though, so Shenandoah, it's going to be full reset instead.
Yeah, the kills coming through on the side of GMU will be able to stop the push coming through from SU, staying strong with this TP Rhine comp here, able to get a good early fight going. We saw the BAP fall early, but Bean Stealer does have the Transcendence up and available on this Zenyatta. Huge usage of this ultimate could be really just disastrous for SU, right? If they are able to keep this BAP alive and these DPS snipers alive with this Transcendence, it's just bad to come back from stuff like that, right? Because that is such a strong ability. Ben keeping the shield up, trying to block these shields. The TP now behind the window going down. SU trying to make a play.
Yeah. See, the Gravitic Flux was more what I was concerned about. You lift them all up, you slam them back down. You want an Immortality Field or a Sound Barrier to counter it out with. You didn't have either of them at the time. So Shenandoah went into that fight with the mentality that they're going to lose it and saved the vast majority of the resources for the next one here, Ben.
Yeah, the Shatter will be up and available for Ben off of this TP. Sacred End will have the Blizzard up and available as well. Ibinks all very close to having the Dragons up and available for this Hanzo. The TP again coming through behind. Look at where the Shatter will go if it is used. They're trying to just get onto this payload, trying to get the momentum back in their favor. The wall now possibly coming through will do so, and now this is the go button possibly for SU.
Yep, they go on in. All of the ultimates that are shattered laid down. It didn't catch Bean Stealer though, so everyone's gonna manage to stay alive, but they lose Sacred End. That Blizzard was going to be the nail in the coffin for GMU, but it's gone. There's nothing else left to be desired. It's a pin of desperation into the back of teleporter. It was a strat that's worked before, but not this time. GMU have seen this once again, and they're not going to be stopped. The Dragon Strike forcing everyone else on back. Sacred End throwing the Blizzard in from down, a last-ditch effort that won't get anywhere far fast. The line has been drawn in the sand, and it's not a far one that GMU has to cross.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a huge hold here for SU to bring this one back on map 5. Sacred End going down. It's just so unfortunate in that fight. The Blizzard goes unused in that fight. That would have been the turning point. That would have been a one fight if that Blizzard is able to come out, but it's just barely not able to do so. Now, we'll have to see what Shenandoah brings to the playing field, if they will go on this Hanzo Widowmaker, similar to what GMU did here with these long angles, or if they're going to try to just stay with what they're comfortable with their game plan, with these kind of brawl style comps that they like to play.
It's 2 fights that GMU have to win. in order to take away the map and the series along with it. Shenandoah, they're putting themselves on the snipers. Sacred End back to the Widowmaker. Voidex joining the Archer army on the Hanzo. This is where every single player feels the most comfortable, some of their best roles. And if it's ever going to click, it has to click here and now. Their entire season on the line for several players. They're getting flashbacks to the collegiate season they've competed in prior to this. George Mason has set the bar for them to uphold, and it's a heavy one that they're going to have to lift. Ibinks, Yuck, deadly snipers to be reckoned with. Shenandoah, this is their chance, and their last one to make a stand.
Sacred End with a nice angle here out of this doorway. If he's able to find a pick onto either Ibinks or Yuck, that would be absolutely amazing for the side of SU. Voidex as well, holding that upper angle, I believe, here. A nice angle here for Sacred. Not able to find the kill, however, will grapple out of the way. Now trying to find these angles back up onto this top side, looking towards this Widow as well, but unable to find anything just yet. The hold coming through still from SU. Not a whole lot of momentum coming through. Thick Man getting a little low. The snipe coming through. BAP will fall. That's what you want to see from your leading man.
Shenandoah's game in Sacred End's hand, and he just showed us exactly why the health bars of George Mason struggling to stay above half. They're going to be pushed back a little bit more. Yet this cart has gotten so far that it's now a one-fight scenario that GMU have to win to close out the series. Shenandoah still 3 minutes that they hold in order to keep this progress, this payload at bay. And it's going to be another wonderful shot, but this time it is from Yuck, not Sacred End. He's going to have to find a way, get a mark back up on the series, but no, it's the sniper from Shenandoah hitting the deck himself. Yuck managed to work his way up onto the high ground, the rest to fall like dominoes. Shenandoah, they fought hard and they fought valiantly, yet here in map 5 is where their journey shall end as GMU moves on in the playoffs.
Yeah, Yuck able to find those pivotal picks on that backside. King Kong Poppy dropping on the Zenyatta. The heels gone. Ibinks will have play of the game here. I like the little animation, but the googly eyes there. Still, indeed, this is going to be the Dragon, the kills. A great hold coming through from GMU and an even better attack on their side.
GMU stepped it up here in this series. It was the Orisa game all day. If Shenandoah could keep playing what they wanted, I guarantee you they walk away with this series. But having to change it up last second to something that is slightly less practiced, that your opponents are more familiar with, it's a tough adjustment to make, especially when you're not fighting in a mirror comp. You lose all of this additional energy you gained heading into map number 5. That pause came back to bite them, and unfortunately that is where their journey shall end. But I want to look back over the season as a whole, because we have seen some extreme growth from this team from the very start. Cherry joining the roster, Ben moving to a new role, King Kong Poppy learning an entirely new hero to fit on in, and they made it happen. They still got to the playoffs. They got to this final spot, and it is a great achievement for the program nonetheless.
Yeah, I am very proud of the squad, right? They did so well. The growth, like you said, playing a lot of different things. Last semester known for Reinhardt, TP, TP, and Reinhardt. And Hammer and Teleporter, right? That was all they did last semester, right? And this semester, they switched it up. They had JQ, they had Ramatra, Orisa, Reinhardt, still Sigma as well. They had a lot of growth, a lot more opportunity to find wins, and they were able to do so. They looked really, really good, and honestly, I'm proud of them. They did good.
I'm proud of them too.
Yeah.
And this was, even if it may not be the results that they desired heading into today, it was still one of the best matches, the best match that they have played throughout the entire season, and they should be proud of the success that they have found here in the NACE Star League, joining the Super League for the first time as a team, and it's a good farewell to the 3 players that will be exiting, graduating, moving on to their careers, King Kong Poppy, Voidex, and Sacred End. And I think lucky for us, we will have one final opportunity to hear from them in our interview closing out this broadcast. So don't go anywhere. We're going to have Voidex on the desk in a couple of minutes.
Pushing back the aggression that George Mason is trying to get going here. Ben will find Thickman as well. The Orisa will win.
Heap of trouble. That's going to be Ibix harassing in the backline. Overstayed his welcome, allowing King Kong Poppy and Sacred End to begin their cleanup, a fight that Shenandoah.
With his ult economy, Thickman now finally getting the Terror Surge online beat, almost up.
And it's going to be Shenandoah with the last say on point to Night Market. The cleanup phase is coming down to an end, but the map far from over. The Ultimates to go ahead and take this fight as free as they want. It doesn't even seem like they're going to need him. Thickman lacks the support. VODX has gotten full microwave beam mode. He's practically invulnerable for the next couple of seconds. Ben needs to come up big here and now, grabbing one out of the Cassidy, now turning his sights over to Ibix, the Terror.
Switch over to this Mei, coming in huge with these walls. Ben just getting separated from his healers, from the rest of his team, meant that there couldn't be any follow-up, right? He was trying to get aggressive and was doing so and was looking very strong in that aspect, but
that's such a strange move. It's glorious, I love it, but it's so strange. I mean,
able to escape Sacred and Vortex falling.
Swapping off of the Genji. Terror Surge on either side. Thickman's got to get the heck out. That is much more of an issue. Cherry, no, her swift step gets interrupted midway through. Ben attempting the Terror Surge to keep him out of danger. Pulls Ibix back into the turrets. Mish has been respecting his ability so much. I mean, even now, they're not even daring to peek their heads on Alpha.
The difference.
King Kong Poppy is the make or break point now for the Shenandoah Hornets. They need to start this one out right, and that's without getting the base rope down. The best pick you could possibly got, the teleporter play, putting Ben where nobody thought he would go, and it's all just simple, knocking them over like dominoes from here on out. I make sure you might be flashy, but not enough to stop the bat. Within the Kitsune Rush, Sacred End, this is his time to go ahead and shine. Beat Stealer, once it was separated, there's nothing that they could do because their poor support was off all alone by...
If SU can stay alive, this will be huge.
Going to try, and once again, it's off of the back of a Ben Terror Surge. This is the best that I have seen this guy play. Now getting aggressive, knowing the sound barrier's there to back them up. Ibix goes down with the blade, the timing on point, on par. Shenandoah, they're gonna pull it back throughout King's Row. Perfect.
Pocket, King Kong Poppy just waiting patiently. I love those googly eyes. That is so cool.
I'm sorry, I can't do the eyes. They only do it once a year for April Fool's Day.
I love it.
And
I love it.
It's fine. And it usually like...
And available. No one really falling on the side of SU. Just Sacred End will go. The beat now coming down. The Terror Surge as well. Possibly able to find one. Will be able to do so. Lucio following this fight. And again, recontest to recontest. SU coming out on top.
Yes, they did come out on top of the battle. Unfortunate and a bit of what we would call a Charlie Niner. Bit of yikes to end round number one, we'll say.
Spear will land, however, on...
What an incredible season the Shenandoah Overwatch team has had in the spring 2024, starting out competing for the first time in the NACE Super League, the top level of collegiate competition that you are going to find around. While that journey was treacherous and full of challenges, they made it all the way to the playoffs to meet George Mason, going to a Map 5 thriller. As close as it was, unfortunately, it was the end of the road for the Shenandoah roster today, and I have VODX here with me, not only for the end of the roster, but also a lot of the players. This is the last hurrah for some seniors that we have, you being one of them, competing for 10 seasons on the Overwatch team. I want you to take a moment, walk me through from when you started kind of on this esports roster, kind of to now, that growth and what this has really meant to you.
Yeah, so I first started playing Overwatch for Shenandoah in 2019, so a long time ago. This is my 10th semester playing for the school. I was actually due to retire last semester, but came back because we had some roster issues here and there, but it's been a wild ride. In 2019, I played tank for the team. That was back still 6v6, Overwatch 1. I was a Sigma player for our team. That was very interesting. About a year after that, I was playing support for the team, flex support.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, now here I am on DPS. So I played just about every role for this team over the 5 years. You know, it's been a wild ride. And in 2019, we were like a diamond team. I mean, we weren't nothing, you know what I'm saying? And eventually we grinded our way up, and, you know, we had our best semester, best placement ever last semester.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, making it to playoffs is a good send-off for us this semester.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys worked hard, immense growth since that initial season that you played in 2019, and you know, the constant moving pieces of the roster. You've been one of those main components that has remained stagnant, moving around to whatever role that you're needed, being flexible, and this quiet leader on the team, as we like to put it. And it's been incredible to watch your performances just in these past 2 semesters alone. And with your season coming to an end today, and talk me through kind of what it meant to the team as a whole to be competing in the Super League, to make the playoffs once again.
You know, honestly, it was a great experience. You know, like I said, I wasn't planning on coming back. You know, my schedule just doesn't work, unfortunately. I have class, work, and everything between, and I wasn't going to be able to play. But there was kind of a shining moment for us when we got invited to the Super Conference, because that kind of allowed us to schedule our games a little bit. So obviously I was able to be here on Tuesdays for our games, and I actually had to take off class today to come here. Thanks to my teacher for letting me go. Yeah, no, it's been great working in the Super Conference and playing. I mean, you know, obviously it was a little bit tough for us going 0-7. You know, it's they had a lot of really good teams in that conference, and we were one of the worst, unfortunately, and it just happens to be how it is, you know.
Yeah.
But it was great competition. It was nice winning through LCQs, and the interesting thing is we used to struggle with GMU all the time. We've got knocked out.
The rivalry.
We've got knocked out of playoffs by GMU. I think 3 times now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think 2 out of the 3 were reverse sweeps. So.
Dang. Not this time.
Not this time.
Not this time. It still did go to 5, but
it did. Still very close match, and it's kind of nostalgic having GMU send us home once again. So. It's been a good experience.
Yeah, and I love that you guys can build these relationships both amongst yourselves as a team, but also with other squads. I mean, you get used to playing them every once in a while, and you know, GMU is a very talented squad to continue moving on. You guys had some shining moments today with the Orisa matchup. Ben had a great time. You on the semester. I know it's not your favorite, but my goodness, that TP Terra Surge, man, that was genius.
Right. Yeah. No, I kind of got like Pavlov, the Stockholm syndrome, into enjoying Symmetra. You know, last semester we exclusively ran TP Brawl, which I'm sure you remember. That was quite the time. We had the most interesting Rhine main I've ever played with, so he was quite the player, and we really farmed with that roster. So I, being the sim player on that team, I just kind of enjoy sim now, you know. I look for those Orisa TP plays, you know, the fun stuff. It keeps it interesting, because most of the sim is sit behind the corner and TP the team. Those are your jobs. That's it. But yeah, no, it's nice. Hey,
it's an important part on the team. And
it is.
If you want to trust anybody with it, it would be you. I would put my team's life into your hands any day of the week. And again, 10 seasons of growth, of continued performance on this team, and surely, like, this is the sentimental moment, kind of being your last hurrah per se. I mean, this is it for you within the esports program, competing as a whole. And tell me, what has competing on this esports team like really meant to you throughout these seasons? Honestly,
it means the world. I thought about this not too long ago. I don't think I've done anything consistently for 5 years of my life except play Overwatch for Shenandoah University. So it's been quite the ride. You know, I've had, you know, not even dozens, but 5 to 6 different coaches over the years, and dozens of players. I mean, you know how collegiate is. You get new players every year, and everyone cycles through, and it's been quite the wild ride, and I really couldn't have picked a better school to do it with. It's been great here. I can't complain.
And we've loved to have you. Even if I've only gotten to see you for 2 semesters, as everybody else who's been watching it behind the scenes and seeing you since the very beginning, and that growth, your enjoyment, your love for the game, and that's what keeps all of us here. You would never do anything for 5 years long. I mean, this is where a lot of us found our home, and it's great to hear it from a personal story, a player who's been successful on these teams, leading them to major playoffs and even some championship victories. So we are very sad to see you depart, but excited to see where the future Voidex will end up going. And on that note, as we begin to wrap up this interview, do you have anything left that you would like to say to the people to mark the end of your journey today?
Nothing specifically. You know, I really just want to thank everyone at SU here. Administration, obviously we've seen many people come and go. Players, coaches, you know, I've seen dozens of people. It's really been a wild ride, and everyone kind of touches you individually in certain ways. So as you become a player, you kind of take parts of people and, you know, eventually become the best player that you can. So it's been a wild ride. I just can't thank everyone enough for what they've done for me, and this has been such a great opportunity to compete here. So.
We can't thank you enough for all of the hard work and dedication that you have put in to the Overwatch roster and to help make this esports program a better welcoming place. Voidex, pleasure to have you here
Absolutely.
on the desk. I've loved talking to you, seeing you compete, and the rest of the team for the season. While their gameplay may end here, we will still have our Call of Duty team competing on April 3rd, which will be this Wednesday. So make sure to give the Shenandoah Esports channel a follow to stay updated on all of our esports program actions. That's going to do it for us here tonight. It's been Tiny Shiny Exil on the desk. Voidex again for the interview. We'll go ahead and see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Pushing back the aggression that George Mason is trying to get going here. Ben will find Thickman as well. The Orisa will win.
Heap of trouble. That's going to be Ibix harassing in the backlines. They overstayed his welcome, allowing King Kong Poppy and Sacred End to begin their cleanup, a fight that Shenandoah.
With his ult economy, Thickman now finally getting the Terror Surge online. Beat almost up.
And it's going to be Shenandoah with the last say on point to Night Market. The cleanup phase is coming down to an end, but the map far from over. The Ultimates to go ahead and take this fight as free as they want. It doesn't even seem like they're going to need him. Thickman lacked the support. Voidex has gotten full microwave beam mode. He's practically invulnerable for the next couple of seconds. Ben needs to come up big here and now, grabbing one out of the Cassidy, now turning his sights over to Ibix. The Terror.
Switch over to this May, coming in huge with these walls. Ben just getting separated from his healers, from the rest of his team, meant that there couldn't be any follow-up, right? He was trying to get aggressive and was doing so and was looking very strong in that aspect, but
that's such a strange move. It's glorious, I love it, but it's so strange. I mean,
able to escape Sacred and Vortex falling.
Swapping off of the Genji. Terror Surge on either side. Thickman's got to get the heck out. That is much more of an issue. Cherry, no, her swift step gets interrupted midway through. Ben attempting the Terror Surge to keep him out of danger. Pulls Ibix back into the turrets. Mish has been respecting his ability so much. I mean, even now, they're not even daring to peek their heads on out.
The difference.
King Kong Poppy is the make or break point now for the Shenandoah Hornets. They need to start this one out right, and that's without getting the base rope down. The best pick you could possibly got, the teleporter play, putting men where nobody thought he would go, and it's all just simple, knocking them over like dominoes from here on out. I make sure you might be flashy, but not enough to stop the bat. Within the Kitsune Rush, Sacred End, this is his time to go ahead and shine. Beat Stealer, once it was separated, there's nothing that they could do because their core support was all alone by.
If SU can stay alive, this will be huge.
Going to try, and once again, it's off the back of a Ben Terror Surge. This is the best that I have seen this guy play. Now getting aggressive, knowing the sound barrier's there to back them up. Ibix goes down with the blade, the timing on point, on par. Shenandoah, they're gonna pull it back throughout King's Row.
Pocket. King Kong Poppy just waiting patiently. I love those googly eyes. That is so cool.
I'm sorry, I can't do googly eyes. They only do it once a year for April Fool's Day.
I love it.
And it's,
I love it.
It's fine. And it usually like.
And available. No one really falling on the side of SU. Just Sacred End will go. The beat now coming down. The Terror Surge as well. Possibly able to find one. Will be able to do so. Lucio following this fight. And again, recontest to recontest. SU coming out on top.
Yes, they did come out on top of the battle. Unfortunate and a bit of what we would call a Charlie Niner. Bit of yikes to end round number one.
Yep.
We'll say.
Spear will land, however.